Hey everybody, my name is Jen, the Caffeinated Crafter, and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be another stitch with me. Today I'm going to be putting in 100 stitches on Autumn Favorites by Shannon Christine Designs for Monopoly. This is probably going to be posted after my floss tube update, so I decided I'm doing 2 stitch with me. Today's actually Sunday, November the 11th, I believe. And I already filmed 1 stitch with me. That's where I talked about the food. I think I'm going to post that one this coming week. And then this floss tube is going to be posted next week. So you will have already seen this in the update. So yeah. But I wanted to post the other one this week. So this one will be posted after the update. So you will have already seen my stitches. Anyway, this is where I'm starting at. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off the S right here. And then I'm going to come up here to the truck and throw some stitches in there as well. So let me go ahead and get the thread for that one. Oh, 38.48. Okay. Let me see. So I stitch in hand. So I just roll the fabric up from the bottom and hold it just like that. And I do this with Aida, even weave, like, you know, Lugana, Joblin, it doesn't matter, linen, it doesn't matter the fabric. I just roll it up. I gotta think of what word I'm working on. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. I kept looking down. There's the word spice below bonfires, and I kept looking at that word. But yeah, I can do this with any fabric. It doesn't matter if it's a floppy fabric or if it's a stiff fabric. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I roll from the bottom. Sometimes I roll from the side. It just really depends on the size. Oh my God, I'm sleepy. Not sleepy, I'm just yawning. It really just depends on the size of the fabric. Like if it's a really small piece and I'm working on the right-hand side of it, I'll roll it like horizontally going that way. But anyway, the subject of today's stitch with me is the story of my son not getting hit by a car. I was going to be like super dramatic and just tell the story like from the beginning and make you guys like think he got hit by a car, because that's what I thought for about 30 minutes. But since I kind of brought the story up in my regular floss tube, I was like, I should probably clarify. He actually did not get hit by a car, so nobody was freaking out, panicking, thinking my kid got hit by a car, and I'm just over here filming floss tubes and stitching like usual. Okay, so I get a phone call on Monday afternoon about 3:30. Monday, I think it was the 4th. About 3:30 from my younger son's phone. My kids both have cell phones because they are technically latchkey kids. Like they come home from school in the afternoon and neither me nor their dad are at home, right? So they're you know, they're latchkey kids. And we need to be able to get a hold of them. And shit like this is exactly why both of my kids have cell phones. So Monday it was raining, and so they were both kind of in a rush to get home because they were trying to not get completely drenched. And I get a call from my younger son's phone, and I answer, and I'm thinking it's him. And this dude is on the other line. This grown man is on the other line. And he says, your son got hit by a car. And I'm like, what? I just freeze. And I'm like, what? And he said, your son got hit by a car. And I'm like, what the hell? Is he okay? Like, is he alive? Is he dead on the side of the road? Is he like sitting there talking? Like, what? He's like, no, he's okay. He's okay. He's sitting here. He's just sitting here on the side of the road. And he said, there's me and a few other people with him. And I was like, okay. I said, well, is his brother there with him? And he said, no. And I was like, okay, tell him, like, you know, I hear him in the background talking. I'm going to have my sisters closer. I hear him in the background talking. I'm like, all right, tell him I'm on my way and I'm going to get his brother over to him. And I hung up the phone and I just started, so bonfire's done. I'm going to move up to the truck. I start flinging all my stuff in my cabinet at work. Now, mind you, they are about 30 minutes from work. Like, it's a 30 to 45 minute drive, sometimes an hour, depending on traffic, for me to get from my job to where my ex-husband lives, because they leave school and they go to my ex-husband's house because he's like 5 minutes from the school. So, oh, that's the color I want. Did I pull that color out? No, I didn't. 7:43. Hang on one second. I thought I had pulled all the colors I needed so I wouldn't have to be reaching and whatnot, but I did not. One of these fit? Yeah, I think so. So real quick, on my bobbins, I cut my length, like my original working length, and I keep it on this side of the bobbin wrapped up vertically. And then anything shorter, like if I have extra left over after using what I need to, I'll put on this side. And then that way, if I just need it for a few stitches, I don't have to pull an entire length just for like 6 stitches. So that's what I was debating on if this is going to fit the stitches I'm using it for. I think it will. So I call my older son. I was like, hey, you need to get over to, this intersection. It's not really an intersection. It's just 2 roads crossing. Technically, it's an intersection, but it's like side streets. It's like stop signs. It's not anything major. But I told him, I said, go over here. Your brother got hit by a car. So he goes, he FaceTimes me as soon as he gets there. And, my younger son is just sitting on the side of the road. Like, on the sidewalk, but on the side of the road. Like, I'm calling, I'm trying to call my ex-husband to let him know, because I also asked my son, I said, is your dad home? Because sometimes he works from home, and he was not. So I'm calling my ex-husband, letting him know. And when my ex-husband answers, he says, oh yeah, he's trying to get out of work too. And he said, but he was in Tampa, so he was even further away than I was. And he said, oh yeah, my mom told me. Like when I said, hey, I just got a phone call, Lachlan got hit by a car. He said, oh yeah, my mom told me. And I was like, your mom told you? What? His mother lives his mother lives like an hour and a half away. An hour and a half away. I was like, how did she know? But I didn't have time to deal with that, right? So I hang up with him, I call my mom and I'm telling her about it. And she said, has anyone called 911? And I was like, you know what? I stopped and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know if that guy called or not. And so she said, well, hang up and call 911. I was like, all right. So I did, because I felt weird calling because I didn't know I didn't have good information to report. Like when the lady called, she said, do you need police, fire, or ambulance? I was like, well, ambulance, maybe police, I'm not really sure exactly what happened. I told her, I said, I got a phone call that my son got hit by a car. I said, he seems to be okay, but he got hit by a car. And when I was on the phone FaceTiming with my other son, I did not see another vehicle. I did not see a vehicle there, so I think it was like a hit and run. And she said, like, what are his injuries? I said, I'm not 100% certain because the guy that reported it to me couldn't really give me good info, except that his feet were hurting him really bad. So anyway, she got the deputies out there. So they were on scene. They must have been super close by because they were on scene within just a few minutes. I have a little knot right there, but I'll deal with that later. They were on scene within just a few minutes. So I hung up with the dispatcher. I'm still on my way, stuck in traffic, of course. And my older son FaceTimes me and he says, hey, the cop wants to talk to you. And I was like, all right. So I get on the phone with the deputy, and because we don't have city police in our area. Our county's not, or our town isn't, what's it called? We don't have a mayor. We don't have cops, like city police. We have like I live in Hillsborough County. So we have like Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. We have Highway Patrol, Florida Highway Patrol. And then we have Hillsborough County, like fire rescue. Like we don't have the city of city of Tampa or anything like that. So I'm on the phone with the sheriff, and he says, hey, so your son didn't actually get hit by a car. And I'm like, what? He said he wiped out on his scooter. I was like, are you kidding me? I said, I called 911 for a wipeout. He started laughing. He said he did take a pretty bad fall. He said, we would rather you call us and it be nothing than to not call us and it be something serious. I was like, okay. He said he is hurt, but it was not from a vehicle. And I was like, okay, well, thank you for letting me know. Because after he told me that, I felt so much better. And he said the paramedics are on their way. He said, so they'll go ahead and check him out because he asked me, he said, how far away are you? And I said, I'm still a good 20 minutes away. And he said, okay, well, paramedics are on their way and they will check him out. And he asked me, he said, if they need to transport him immediately, do you want your other son to go with him? And I said, yes, please, because I didn't want my younger one I didn't want my 11-year-old to have a meltdown because he was going with the paramedics to the hospital, and he was completely by himself. I didn't want him to panic and freak out. So I said, yeah, if they need to transport him right away, let my 14-year-old go with him so that he's got somebody there that he knows and he's not completely and totally panicked simply because he's by himself. So paramedics show up and my son FaceTimes me again because I'm still driving there. But this time I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close at that point. And they tell me, they said, hey, he doesn't have any life-threatening injuries. So, he seems to be okay, but he does have, his foot is pretty swollen and it's very bruised. But other than that, he doesn't, it says scrape on the elbow and stuff, but nothing life-threatening. He said, we don't have to transport him immediately. I was like, okay. He said, how far away are you? I said, I'm over by the new hospital, which is about 10 minutes away. He's like, all right, so we'll just wait for you to get here and then we'll kind of go from there. I was like, okay. And so I finally pull up to the scene, and I say scene because when I'm driving down the road, there are 2 deputies' SUVs there, lights flashing. The Ambulance is there with the lights flashing. Gurney's out on the road like they're ready to go. I'm like, it was like pure chaos. They're taking up the entire corner of this area. I was like, oh my sweet Jesus. It looked like a major accident. And then my son, my wonderful, wonderful baby boy, is sitting there wrapped up in this pink bath towel that one of the little old neighbors had brought out to cover him up because because it was raining, and he's sitting there looking like a body wrapped up in a pink towel. Like, it was madness. So I pull up and I'm standing there talking to, I'm trying to get the little one. There we go. I'm standing there talking to the paramedic, and I see the ladder truck, like, you know, the really big fire trucks with the big ladders on them. I see one of those pull up, and I was like, oh my God, they're not here for him, are they? And they said, yeah, they were. I was like, oh my God. Like, this is terrible. And he's like, no, it's okay, really. So we were discussing if the guy said, we were trying to figure out like exactly what I was going to do. He said, well, I was looking at his foot, and I mean, this poor kid's foot, it was swollen, it was purple. And I was like, man, that foot looks awful. And he was like, yeah. And my son's sitting there like trying to hold back tears. And he was like, I said, well, what else hurts? And he said, it's mostly my foot. And I was like, all right, what color am I doing? Oh, the upside down triangle. Okay. And I was like, all right, well, I said, well, we'll definitely take you to get your foot checked out, Lachlan. And he was like, okay. And the paramedic asked, he said, well, do you want us to transport him to the emergency room, or do you want to take him? He said, I really think this could probably be like an urgent care thing. But we are more than happy to transport him to the ER if you want us to. And I'm sitting there looking at my kid, because my kids are almost the same size as me. Like, my 14-year-old towers over me. My 14-year-old is almost 6 foot tall. My 11-year-old is almost as tall as me. There's no way that I'm going to be able to carry him anywhere. I should have used a regular length. That's okay on this part. I said, well, let's do this. I said, let's get him up and see if he can take a few steps on that and bear weight on the foot. Because if he can bear weight on the foot, then I don't mind taking him myself. Because I'd rather go to an urgent care if we can than to spend like a couple $100 on an ER copay. I said, but if he can't bear weight on that foot, then I want you to take him, because there's no way I'm going to be able to get him in the car, out of the car, into the triage area of the ER, all that jazz. So they got him up, and he was able to bear weight on his foot. It was painful, but he was able to do it. So I said, well, I'll just go ahead and take him. And I took him over to the local urgent care that we have here through Baycare. And we brought him in a wheelchair because I didn't want to make him walk. And I mean, his foot was so swollen and so purple. I would post pictures because stuff like that doesn't bother me. But I know some people are very squeamish about that stuff, so I don't want to post any photos of his foot. But it was very swollen, very purple. Like, I thought for sure that he had a hairline fracture. Since he could bear weight on, I thought his foot was broken at first. But since he could bear weight, I was like, well, maybe it's just like a hairline fracture, where he can bear weight, but there's still a fracture. Because, I mean, this kid's foot was like twice the size it normally is. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and take him myself, right? So we get him in the car, And after we get in the car, I'm like, baby doll, I said, I am not mad at you. I said, I want to make that very clear right now. I am not mad at you in the slightest whatsoever. I said, but for the love of God, answer this question for me. And he said, what? I said, why in the world did I get a phone call reporting that you were hit by a car? How did that even come about? And he said, well, he said, I was riding my scooter and the roads were wet, right? And I was trying to turn the corner, and he rides an electric scooter. And he said, I was trying to turn the corner and the wheel, like the back wheel or something, one of the wheels got stuck and it didn't turn. And so he basically fell off and the scooter fell on top of him. And he was wearing a helmet. Before anyone says anything, he wears a helmet. But the scooter fell on top of him and like smashed into his foot. And the scooter's kind of heavy because it's an electric one. Which reminds me, oh, I should have done it last night. Oh, I totally forgot. Dang it. His scooter is still in my trunk. I was going to bring it over to their dad. And I forgot. I'll have to do that later. But anyway, or I could do it tomorrow because I have to go there anyway. So he said the scooter fell on his foot. Well, it fell on both of his feet kind of, but the main foot that was all swollen and purple and stuff. And so he said he got up and he kind of hobbled across the street to sit on the other side. Like he left his scooter there and he hobbled across the street to the other side and sat down because his foot was hurting. And the neighbors came out and they saw him sitting on one side of the road, scooter on the other. And so they thought that a car had come by and hit him and propelled him across the street. But yeah, they see a kid sitting on the side of the road, scooters on the other side. They just assumed that he had gotten hit by a car. And so that's what they were saying. That's what they were telling people, was that he got hit by a car. Luckily, he did not. He just wiped out. But anyway, I take him to urgent care. The nurse practitioner that was working that night, she came in the room all decked out in her yellow gown and her mask and her goggles and her gloves, like hazmat, full hazmat, COVID protection. My older son, my teenager, he texted me. He was like, man, she's like dressed like we got the plague. I was like, I know. And in my head, I'm thinking, girl, who are you protecting? If you're going, because I saw her in the hallway coming out of a room in that same garb. So it's like, if you're going from room to room in that, who exactly are you protecting? Let's clarify that one. But anyway, she kind of like was freaking out because she wanted to send him directly over to the emergency room because he was riding an electric scooter. So she was freaking out thinking it was going to be way worse because of how swollen his foot was. But I was like, can we just like get some x-rays and see if his foot's broken? If it's really broken, then yes, I'll take him to the ER. But like, I came to urgent care for a reason. Like it was a wipeout. The scooter fell on top of him and he has a scrape on his elbow. That's literally like, that's it. That's all he's complaining of. It's not like he crashed a vehicle or anything. So we x-rayed both of his feet and his elbow, and nothing was broken. No broken bones or anything. He just had a lot of soft tissue damage from the scooter falling on his foot. So they put him in one of those post-op shoes and sent him on his way. And So he's been wearing one of those. The post-op shoe is like one of those blue and white shoes. I don't know what they look like in other countries, but or in other areas, but at least in my area, the post-op shoe is basically, it's got a hard white flat bottom, so you can't bend your foot when you're walking. And then the cover is like just like blue Velcro that you just Velcro over the top of your foot. So he was wearing that all week. And I mean, I'll tell you what, he kept his foot elevated. I let them stay home from school on Tuesday. And I let both of them stay home because my older one said he would take care of the younger one. So I let them both stay home because I had to go back to work. Like, I had just been off for a week. I did not have the PTO to take off another day if I didn't have to. If I had to, like, if he really did get hit by a car, then absolutely I would have been like, I ain't coming in, I don't care. But if I don't have to, then yeah, I need to go back to work. So he was wearing the post-op shoe all week. And then my ex-husband texted me. I think it was, he texted me Friday night. And then he called me. And he said, actually, no, he called me first. And then he texted me a picture. He said, look at our son's foot. And he texted me a picture, and he had ended up forming this giant blood blister on the top of it, which, like, where the bruising had been, which I wasn't really surprised because the skin was like very shiny, like it was going to blister. And I think wearing that post-op shoe had been rubbing on it. And then the blister formed. So he was like, I don't know what to do with this. And I said, okay. I said, get some gauze and some gauze roll, like rolled gauze. I said, just cushion the blister, wrap his foot up with the gauze roll. That way, if it pops, the gauze will absorb it. And then, because, you know, I said, I said, God bless. Apparently the blister had been forming since like maybe Thursday, but he didn't tell me about it. I didn't see his foot on Thursday. He just keeps telling me, oh yeah, I'm feeling so much better. I'm like, great. I didn't see his foot on Thursday. And so my ex-husband was like, did you tell your mom? And he was like, no. I was like, well, I wish you would have, because I would have brought stuff home from work, because I work in a wound care clinic. So I told him, I said, just cover it with the gauze, wrap it with the gauze wrap, and if it pops, let me know. I said, I don't want to pop it because I don't have anything to protect it right now. I had some Bactroban because the nurse practitioner was paranoid that the literal scrape on his elbow was going to get infected. And so she prescribed Bactroban to put on the scrape, which we didn't even use. I mean, it was like healed up within a day. But I told him, I said, let me know if it pops, and we'll figure something out until I can get like more proper stuff. So I say, even if it pops like in the middle of the night at 3 a.m, text me, because my phone is on sleep mode when I'm in bed, so you're not going to like wake me up. But then at least I'll know like first thing in the morning, hey, you need to get some stuff together. So Saturday night, he texted me. He said it popped. And so I got the Bactroban. And I asked him, I said, do you have any tweezers at your house? Because I need to get the skin off of the blister, off the pop blister, because otherwise it traps bacteria. And he said, oh, I don't know. And I said, well, that's all right. I'll make do. I said, you have alcohol pads though, right? I said, I figured he would, because he's a diabetic, so he needs to like check his blood sugar. He's like, oh yeah, I got tons. I was like, okay. I grabbed a pair of cross-stitch scissors that I don't really use very much, Because all I do is cut thread with them, right? And they're tiny and they're sharp, exactly what I need. And so I go over there and with the Bactra band and my little scissors, and he ended up finding some tweezers in their first aid kit, and I ended up having to cut the skin off. My son was kind of freaking out a little bit. He's like, "Is it gonna hurt?" And I said, "Well, it shouldn't hurt because the skin's dead." Like I said, it's like getting a haircut. I said, the reason why I'm saying I'm not sure is because because it might hurt a little bit on the edges, like, because I want to get the skin off as close to the perimeter as I can. I said, but it's just dead skin, like, no big deal. And he's like, okay. And when I touched it, he was like, well, I don't even feel that. I'm like, okay, then. Well, then we're good. So I got the skin off, cleaned his foot up, slathered it in Bactroban. It's basically like an antibiotic ointment. And then wrapped his foot up, put the pad on it, and wrapped his foot up. And so I told my ex, I said, let me know if it sticks, because I tried to put a really thick layer of ointment on the area because I was worried about the pad sticking to his foot now that the skin was off. I said, I put a pretty thick layer of antibiotic ointment on there. I said, but let me know if it sticks, and I will get some Adaptic, which is an oil emulsion dressing, like basically gauze saturated in Vaseline, so it doesn't, so that it keeps it from sticking. And I said, let me know when you do the dressing change on Sunday if it sticks or not. And if it does, then I'll bring some of that over. And if it doesn't, then we're good. Like, I'm still going to bring some stuff over, but I'll know what I need to get. So that was last night. But yeah, that, I could have dragged this story out way, way longer, but I'm not going to. But yeah, he was hobbling around there for a day or two. And oh yeah. So the funny thing, so while we were at urgent care, oh my God, I totally forgot to tell you this part. So while we were at urgent care, right, my ex-husband shows up. He had said, let me know where you are, and because I'm going to come over there. And I was like, okay. So I told him. And like, for those who don't know, like, we've been divorced since like 2018, and we co-parent very well. Like, neither one of us are bad people. We just decided not to be married anymore. To sum it up, without going into detail, we just decided we didn't want to be married anymore. And, but we get along just fine. Just fine. So he said, let me know where you are, and I'll come over there. And so I told him. So he shows up, and when my kid and I come back from radiology getting the x-rays, he was there. And I was like, oh, hey. And I asked him, I was like, dude, I said, I got to ask. I said, how in the world did your mother know that Lachlan got hit by a car, but not hit by a car? And he said, he turns the attention to our loving child. And he was like, son, how do you have me in your phone? Like in the phone book part, how do you have me listed? He said, Cap, like captain. He said, okay. And how do you have son of a bitch? I just realized this, I didn't do one enough over right here. Damn it. Okay, I'll have to go back and fix that. He said, okay, and how do you have your mother listed? He said 9-month hotel. And he said, okay, and how do you have your gaga listed? That would be my ex-husband's mother. He said, Mom squared. Okay, well, first of all, kiddo, it should be my mother listed as Mom squared because it's Mom's mom. But anyway. So the dude that was trying to help and notify this kid's parents that he got hit by a car saw Mom squared listed in the phone and thought that it was his mother and called this woman and said to her, your son got hit by a car, and gives her the same information that he had given me. So she then, I gotta fix this. Where did I end it? That's super annoying. So she then calls, is it here? Yeah. So she then calls her son and was like, Ken, are you okay? I don't know where this ended. Is it here? Here it is. She's like, oh my God, Ken, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, why? She said, I just got a call that you got hit by a car. And he was like, hit by a car? Nah, that's a scam. She was like, yeah, no. And she said, yeah, the guy said that you got hit by a car. And he was like, no, that's a scammer. They're scamming you, Mom. Because she's like in her 70s. So he was like, oh my God, they're coming after my parents. No, it's a scam, Mom. Don't believe them. And she said she gave him the cross streets where he got hit. He was like, wait, that is my neighborhood. And then she said, and they called from Lachlan's phone. He was like, oh my God, Lachlan got hit by the car. And so while he's trying to call, like while he's calling Lachlan, I'm calling Peyton, my other kid, telling him, hey, get your butt down over to the corner because your brother got hit. Then I was trying to call my ex-husband, and when I was trying to call him, he was on the phone with Lachlan. So that's it. It's just this big old mess. Big old mess. This is so annoying. I hate when I do something like this. Where was I? Down here. So I thought something was off when I had gotten over here. But I thought, oh, maybe I just didn't do that extra row column. Here's where I messed up. Hang on 1 second. Let me thread my needle. So, but yeah, that's a story about my kid getting hit by a car, but not getting hit by a car. And all the chaos that ensued with it. This should have been 5 stitches, not 4. That's what I get for stitching and talking, right? All right, so then 1 over. Yes, okay. Back on track. Not going to be able to go as far as I did with that one, though, because I cut it short. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go back over here and do this row. And then I'll end the thread and I'll start a new length coming from this end to fill it in. See, this is where I was like, something seems off. because that should have butted up against that color right there. Okay. It's okay, it's fixed. So we had our son change our names in his phone to Mom and Dad. And I mean, oh, good, excuse me. The whole 9-month hotel thing for me, I mean, it was, not gonna lie, it was kind of funny. I thought it was funny. But I told him, I said, this is why you can't have silly nicknames for the super important people in your life, like your emergency contacts. Like, you really need to have, I just bumped the cord that's my camera's plugged into. It's like, this is why you need to have your emergency contacts listed by name or by like mom or dad or husband or wife or something like that, because having a funny nickname like that for me was, well, as funny as it was, if that was like a real hit by a car emergency, the guy would have had no clue to call me. He would have had no clue. He wouldn't have known how to look me up in there. So, or his father. So, anyway, let me go ahead. So I wanted to go ahead and get the 100 stitches done while I was on the stitch with me here. So let me just get caught back up to where I was. I don't really have anything else to talk about now. But yeah, my kid's fine. He's all right. Oh, and then the next day, let's see, he stayed home from school Tuesday. So when he went back to school, what was it, the next day? On Wednesday, he didn't have his glasses. My kid is blind like I am. He needs glasses big time. And I'm like, dude, where are your glasses? He's like, they broke. They fell or something, and one of his classmates had stepped on them. I was like, oh my God. But they have new glasses. They're just, they hadn't arrived yet. My ex-husband had taken him to the eye doctor like a couple weeks ago. So they had new glasses that were like pending arrival. And then I got a text on Wednesday that they had arrived. Wednesday evening after I had gotten home, I got a text that, I don't remember when the glasses broke. I don't remember if the glasses broke before or after. It had to be after. He fell off his scooter. So I picked up their new glasses on Thursday. Both my kids need glasses, but my younger one needs them worse than my older one. Picked their new glasses up on Thursday, so they were both very happy. And I gotta think if I gotta ask my ex-husband if he grabbed the prescription. Well, he said they did. I need him to send it to me because I wanted to order backup glasses online because they sell them for pretty cheap online. So I want to get some backup glasses because they're kids, you know? It's like, yeah, they're a teen and a preteen, but they're still kids. Crap happens. They're gonna break them. So, okay, almost done with this 100 here. Side note, I am almost done. at the time of filming this, I am almost done with the Hade cell, the Heaven and Earth Design cell. By the time you see this, I will have been done and shown you the finished product. So that's exciting. That I'm talking to you from the past and I'm like, yeah, I'm almost done. And then you're watching this in the future and you're like, yeah, you got that done last week. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So that's exciting. Cannot wait to get that thing done. I am so sick of it. Okay, getting close, just a couple more stitches. And of course, this color is going to end 4 stitches short. So that's annoying. I like when it happens to end right at the amount that I need. I don't know where I got this thing. Oh, I got this at the retreat in Ohio that I went to last year. Someone made them, I think, was giving them out. I don't remember now. Okay, let me put this back on the bobbin because I could still use that length for something else. And I'll just do this. I'm just going to do 4 stitches in this color right here. And then I'll end it. That way I don't have a hanging thread on there. There we go. Okay. Don't do the 4 stitches. I'll do the 4 stitches over here. Make sure I put it in the right spot. Okay, so I just realized I was being like super quiet there for a few minutes. My bad. But I guess you don't have to talk the entire time when you're doing this, do you? I don't know, I just feel like it gets like super awkward if you're just sitting there like dead silent. It doesn't bother me when I watch stitch-alongs or stitch with me's. It does not bother me when someone can't think of something to say and so they're being like really, really quiet for a few minutes. It don't bother me because I'm just sitting there stitching with them. Like it would be no different than us sitting there in person and stitching. But when you're actually filming it, you have this urge to keep talking and never have a silent moment. And I think that's what when other floss tubers are saying, oh, I feel like I don't have anything to say, that's why. It's like when you're watching it, it's like it may not bother you to have quiet and silence, but when you're filming, it's like, oh, this feels so weird being like dead silent, like you need to say something right now. Okay, so I got my 100 stitches done for Monopoly for this week. There we go. This is moving right along. It's really cute. I like that I got that part done right there. I got to put the stem in on these pumpkins too. But yeah, that little pumpkin on the side of the truck is really cute now. But anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below, and the bell to be notified whenever I post a new video. And yeah, that's it. So take care, happy stitching, get a lot of stitches in, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.